afternoon, everybody. My name is Stefan Bilanovic, and I'm a secretary of the Business Council Russia Zimbabwe. Glad to see you all at our webinar, and welcome. Enjoy, guys. Irina.
Thanks. We would enjoy for sure this meeting. The next who I want to ask to come is the people from Business Russia, the organization that helps all of us to do business. Stepan, could you help me to ask people from Business Russia to come and to say something good for us?
Of course, give me a couple seconds. I think they're here.
Уважаемые коллеги, слышно ли меня?
Да.
Приветствую от лица Деловой России на нашем сегодняшнем вебинаре. Благодарим и инициаторов Деловой совет Россия-Зимбабве и наших членов Деловой России, группу компаний Sology. Благодарим группу компаний Sology, наших членов Деловой России за содержательную повестку и помощь в подготовке данного мероприятия. В Деловой России активная африканская повестка. Мы работаем и с посольствами африканских государств, представленных в Москве, с Афрокомом, с ассоциацией, недавно созданной по экономическому сотрудничеству с Африкой. Есть чат с российскими предпринимателями, заинтересованными в африканском направлении. Поэтому приглашаем к активной совместной работе, и Международный департамент всегда будет рад ответить на ваши вопросы и содействовать в выходе на африканские рынки, в том числе, и, наверное, самый главный наш такой инструмент – это наш институт бизнес-послов. Есть у нас ряд бизнес-послов по Африке, поэтому всегда открыты и будем рады сотрудничеству. Интересного нам вебинара. Спасибо.
Hello, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the next who I want to represent is actually the Sology group, our main expert in this meeting session. Could you please tell a little bit more about your company and your business?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not on the English channel. I hear only Russian. So, but anyhow, I heard you now. Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming. My name is Victor Schäfer. I'm stationed in Ghana, and I'm tropical agriculturalist. I'm 48 years now stationed in West Africa, mainly in Ghana. I'm operating out of Ghana. That has some different reasons, which I will explain later. And I have started actually in 72 here in agriculture, setting up farms. Later on, I changed over to marketing. And in the meantime, of course, as you all know, agriculture is a big logistic business. We are in logistics also. We are representing KAMAZ. We have represented in the past Chetra here, and we are also with Jamsep together as for the trailers. So we are trying to set up different logistic chains for the agriculture. And therefore, we need, of course, the equipment, which is mainly transport equipment, but also specialized equipment. And for this purpose, that we can represent these companies, we have set up Heavy Duty Technologies West Africa Limited. That is our second company, which is mainly dealing with all that equipment questions, but also with processing plants and everything what is needed for food processing, for preserving of food, which means chilling technologies, and so the rest of the chain which comes into the logistic in terms of air freights, because most of what we are exporting is perishable, We're exporting tropical fruit cuts. We are exporting tropical fruits as such. We are exporting also a lot of herbs, especially to Russia, because over there the season is much longer as in Europe, and it's not so complicated to deal with the Russians as with the Europeans. So that is also an advantage in the whole trade. And we have set up also this VS Marketing, a department of VS Marketing is a consultant company which is since more than 15 years caring for investors which are coming here and want to invest either in agriculture, in agricultural processing, in agricultural storage, in export, or in production itself. We have several customers which have contract production with us, so they sign up contracts where we exactly know which quantities they want at which time, so that we can produce on point and send it on point. That is my background actually here. I'm based in Ghana, as I said already. Because Ghana is the most political stable country and has a best investor climate. Now, you have to see that also that West Africa has created a trade zone which is called ECOWAS. There are 15 member states in this ECOWAS zone, and they have 350 million potential customers. But of course, this you have to take with a pinch, or better with a kilo of salt, because the customers don't have the purchase value as customers from European Union or even from Russia have. So when you hear 350 million potential customers, please take it like cut it or multiply that, divide it by 4, because the purchase volume is only 25% of the normal European market. The requirements of these customers are also very different. You have the Sahara as a divider between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. North Africa, just to strive that, have their own economic zone, which is mainly French orientated, because most of the North African countries have either been under the influence of the French or the Italians, though that is actually a very European orientated trade zone. Now, the East African zone is also different and is very much Great Britain orientated. How that will develop now after the Brexit, nobody knows. But I think there are chances over there to come in. And then we have the South Africans. They have also a trade zone which is more or less not so good functioning, let's put it like that. And when you deal with South Africa, not as a country, South Africa, actually what we say is the South African up to Sub-Saharan. So that is a line where you can see Gabon up to Tanzania, and going south from there, that is more or less that you trade with individual countries, where the most developed country in Africa for sure is South Africa itself, and it's very complicated to trade with them because more or less everything is growing there, and their demand is not so high in terms of agricultural products. They have a much higher demand in terms of technologies. Now, I'm specialist of the ECOWAS zone, these 15 West African countries, which we are dealing with from here in Ghana. As I said already, Ghana is the most political stable nation in West Africa, and therefore it gives a very good comfort zone for everybody who wants to enter Africa. Because when you look around Ghana, when you look to Ivory Coast, when you look to Burkina Faso, when you look to Mali, to Niger, to Nigeria, all these countries have a problem with some internal terrorism or external terrorism. And that makes an investor very uncomfortable because the uncertainties are very high over there. Now in Ghana, we have, as I said, a political stable climate and very high incentives for investor coming. And the good thing is that when you are sitting in Ghana, you can easily deal with all these other countries which are in the ECOWAS trade zone without any problem, because you have some tax differences and things like that, which can be easy, well, orchestrated from Ghana. And therefore, we have a lot of first-time investors from abroad, not only from Russia, coming into Ghana and rolling up the market from here. You have also to recognize that every country which was under Francophone colonialism is very much oppressed by the French, in terms that the French are not letting in easy other countries, for example, Anglophone speaking countries, Germans and all this, have a big problem to really come on the market and make deals in this market. But nevertheless, when you are in Ghana, you have a good position to come always back and then develop your business in these countries, which in the average takes between 1 and 3 years before you are settled. Not only because of the high administrative involvement, but also that you have to make sure that you have found the right partner, that you get a piece of land which is free of any other titles, and also to bring in your investment, you have to have a certain steps to do, which also takes time. If you have done that all in Ghana, then it's much easier, because your company is registered in Ghana and you can easily go as a Ghanaian registered company to all these countries. That helps you a lot, that speeds up the time a lot. There is a whole list of possible investments here in Africa, in West Africa especially, but we have to categorize it, because I saw from the questionnaire already that we have different interest groups here. One of the interest groups is asking for the PPA projects. This is Public Procurement Authority projects, which are mainly projects which governments undertake. This is ports, airports, corridor roads, bridges, harbors. These are public tenders. And these public tenders are mainly done under the involvement of governments, because the guarantees which have to be brought in are hardly to be brought in from a single company, except that you are Lukoil or the big ones, which are also here already and playing a role on this market. So this big tender, I would just exclude today, because this is very special. You have to involve the embassy, and you have these tenders in international publications. So that means you must prepare yourself with all the necessary papers. You have to register here then with the Public Procurement Authority. And it's the same for the whole ECOWAS. And here I think we should also see that you must be alerted that a lot of fraudster is going on in the internet. Through the internet, it's easy to detect your company, and then somebody will write you and say, you have win a tender, I can make you win a tender also for the ECOWAS zone. That is not happening. There are no ECOWAS tenders. All the tenders are national tenders under the ECOWAS umbrella. It's the same as in the EU. So we have the same system here also. So please do not fall to such offers. It's hard for you to check the reality. My colleague from Zoology, Alexei, might say a few words on that, because we have an actual case where somebody from Ghana wrote and told a Russian company that they have won a tender. This person was never going into a tender, and he sent an invoice from a lawyer, which was some $1,000, which was in no relation to nothing. And if you know the steps, you could have seen already that this is a fraud. So please, you have Solodgy in Russia. They are very experienced. We are working together since 5 years, and they have really raised a good internal knowledge on all these projects. I'm also sitting here as their partner in Ghana, and they can easily refer such requests to me so that I can check it and give a feedback on that. So please, if you don't know the person, do not deal direct with such persons. The tender process is very strict and rigid. So that means it is not a subject to fraud, to to bribes and things like that. This comes much later, but in this stage, this is a real international tender process where embassies are involved, where ministries are involved, where the contracts are signed between ministries and the governments, and this level is really an absolutely high, clean level. That just to watch if we are talking about these categories of business. Let's move from there because we don't have so much time. I can tell you another hour about that, but let's go to the private bulk supplies, because I saw also a question how to sell products like wheat, barley, corn, pea, sunflower oil, and so on. Now, this is also a very good and specified question, because the bulk supplies in most of the West African countries is restricted to sugar, rice, fodder maize, and poultry feed. Then comes specialty is wheat, brew barley, food maize, and special flours by container. Why? The whole wheat and flour production, or the wheat import and the flour production following, is in the hand from 5 flour mills which are operating throughout the ECOWAS zone. Means if you want to sell wheat, then we have to contact you with these 5 mills, which are all over. The biggest one is Takoradi Flour Mill, and they have 17 mills in all the ECOWAS countries. They have their own ships where they bring the wheat in, and they are operating on special payment conditions and terms. Now, when we had the Soviet Union, the owner of Takoradi Flour Mill is called Serge Bakayan. He is from Armenian descent, and he was dealing with the Soviet Union on a big scale because they gave him very favorable payment conditions. After we had the perestroika, the payment conditions changed into 100% prepayment. That is not attractive for nobody in Africa to deal with. So that means he is now getting mainly his wheat from Canada and also from Ukraine direct. Ukraine, because Ukraine has a possibility to finance over the EU and give also payment facilities through the EU banks. And here we come to another point which I want just to skip in. Most of the Russian companies have the desire to get 100% prepayment. I can tell you, if you want 100% prepayment, don't come to Africa. This will not happen here. We are dealing with 20% down, and depending what commodity it is, with a payment facility which is either 1 year or up to 5 years if we are talking about heavy duty equipment. And I will later tell you an example from Chetra, which we were representing here, where we had structured a deal, and when it came to the financing, the whole deal was flopping because Caterpillar had a much better offer in financing a 6 million euro deal as Chetra had. So therefore they didn't get the contract. Now, coming back to the special things is that sugar, for example, is a commodity which is not grown in sufficient quantities in whole West Africa and also in South Africa. So this is a good field to operate. But even here, you have to recognize that you will not find partners here which are able to pay you a whole shipload of sugar by LC or whatever. Because the banks here are asking for a minimum of 38% up to 48% interest rate per year. To get an LC here, and that is mostly the really point of discussions between the supplier and the buyer, is that the supplier wants to have an LC, which is okay, but to get an LC from an African bank, you have always to see that the capitalization of an African bank is very small. So if you ask, for example, for an LC, which is covering 10 million, then at least 2 or 3 banks have to join together to structure this LC, because not a single bank here has a capital to give you an LC of 10 million euros. And we are mainly talking euros because US dollar has a very bad exchange rate here. So you should deal in euros because it's much easier and more stable also for the banks, because West Africa, for example, is very much European Union orientated and is dealing with the European Union. More than 60% of every import which comes to West Africa comes from there. Russia has a very good reputation. So in this way, you will not have a problem because of your qualities or whatever. Even you have an advantage because Russia is still in the position to supply Euro 3 engines for the trucks and for the machines. And this is a big advantage here because our diesel is so dirty with sulfur that we are operating a diesel between 560 and 840 ppm per liter. That means Euro 2 and Euro 3 engines are what we need here. You cannot run a truck on Euro 5. The truck will stay for 3 months on the road and then you can overhaul the whole engine. So nobody will buy that. This you have also to see and to act accordingly, that you in Russia, you have the possibility to really have equipment which is absolutely fitting to Africa. So that is your trade advantage which you have. And this trade advantage, of course, you can take and make a deal out of it. But coming back to the financing, you have Russian Exim Bank. Russian Exim Bank has in the last years opened up a little bit more in financing trades with Africa. The problem is that they take a very long time, and I don't know how many tons of paper you have to bring to be checked, and after that they decide if they will finance a deal or not. I have done that several times with Kamaz, and the customer had actually the possibility to wait 7 months before Exim said, yes, we will finance it. Then comes 4 months production time with Kamaz. That means your equipment comes more than a year later when you started the business. That is, of course, nothing what is attractive for any buyer. What we are doing in the meantime is that we are supplying certain types of trucks on a free zone base and in a bonded warehouse, so that Kamaz is still the owner of the trucks, and we can sell on the spot from the bonded warehouse, which makes the trade much easier. That can be done with any other equipment also. For me, that is a very good solution for the supplier to be still the owner of what he is supplying, bring that to Africa so he can finance that internally on the Russian market and put it in a bonded warehouse where what he wants to sell is secured up to the point when the buyer comes and pays for it. That is avoiding any LC, any bank guarantee, which is impossible, and all these other financial instruments which are very costly here in Africa. And it helps you for a fast turning of your goods, because the buyer can see it, the buyer can feel it, and the buyer knows, yes, when I go to the bank and pay in the money, then my good is there and I can clear it immediately. The other positive thing is that you have supplied the good already more or less CIF bonded warehouse. That means the prices are stable. You have exactly, you know what you have paid for it and how much the buyer has to bring to compensate you. So it's very clear, because sometimes when you order the good and the manufacturer takes 4 months to produce it, then the exchange rate has for sure changed. So the price which was agreed is not valid anymore. And then you have to start the negotiations again and again and again. So all that can be avoided when you are prepared to bring your goods in a bonded warehouse, which is absolutely secured because you have not imported goods into Africa. You can even take these goods out of the bonded warehouse and send them to neighboring countries if you have made a contract with neighboring countries. So that is a very attractive way to deal in a safe way and in an easy way. So people should really think about that when they want to come to Africa, to go and start in such a way before they are settled on the market and they know more about the market and how they want to go about it. Now, as coming back to these special supplies, the brewery barley is for the existing breweries which we have here. Africa is, I mean, West Africa, not the Sahel Africa, is a beer drinking nation and tribe of people which are absolutely beer lovers. So brewery barley is a good deal. But again, here, apart from the quality which you have to bring an attractive financing for the brewery. Otherwise, you will not sell at all. And you have also to see that you are always in the competition of other markets. That means you're not the only one who wants to sell brewery barley or you wants to sell machinery or whatever. So you have to see, and that you can easily do from Russia, what is a competition offering in your case. For example, let's come back to this Cetra deal. We had a contract possibility for Cetra to delivering 6 million euro worth dozers for bush clearing and special designed blades which they did. So we were actually 6 months with Cetra working out the technologies. It was absolutely smooth and it was super. But then we came at the end of the day, after everything was agreed, to the financing. And Cetra could not offer any attractive financing. The competition was Caterpillar. Caterpillar came in, 20% down payment, and 6 million stretched over 5 years in equal terms. Of course, we lost the contract, because if Cetra says we have to have 100% prepayment and you have to arrange for that, then a Ghanaian customer, a Liberian customer, a Sierra Leone customer is not able to do that, even if they are international companies. But with our banks and the interest rate here, you cannot do it. So that means we have always to see that if we are going in this amounts, that we have a bank possibility, either Russian Exim Bank or whatever, which is backing up the house bank of the supplier, and the customer will pay down 20% on signing the contract, and then the remaining either over 1, 3, or 5 years. Then the business is attractive and can be done, and then you are in the same range as your competition is offering financial terms. We have just a deal, lost the deal for Kamaz to Scania, because even here, even if the Scania is much more expensive, but the financial conditions are much better. And our problem is really dealing with Russian companies. The financial flexibility of them is not so as it should be to be competitive on the market. So you have to work on that, and you have to have a solution for that, before you even think to come down and explore the market. Because in this range which we are talking here, and also about contract supplies, these are all going over financing. The smaller things which we come later to, they have sometimes a cash transfer, but these are peanuts businesses compared what we are talking here. Now, when we are talking about the special supplies like food maize and special flowers, as I said, the main flowers are produced here, and the price is for sure not competitive what you want to bring in because of the transport costs. So, but special flowers like barley flowers and ray flowers, these are coming in by container loads, but these are not thousands of tons. And these are ready-made flowers for special bakery products, which are needed here because all our mills are importing only wheat flour. And the mass production here is, of course, wheat flour that is 98% of the whole consumption. So when somebody wants to come in this specialized supply, he should please contact Zoology, and then we will structure a tailor-made solution for him, bring him together with the right partners to buy the stuff. And we start always to have the full portfolio of the one who wants to sell, so that a potential buyer can select what he wants to buy and what he needs to make things easier. That was the second category. Now we come to the third category. These are the oils, the sunflower oil, the rapeseed oil, olive oils, and things like that. This is not a bulk purchase. These oils are sold to supermarket chains, which we have also here, only a few, but nevertheless, and also oil importers, which are distributing it to the local markets. Means that here we have also to see, of course, always the quality is clear. That must be top qualities which you want to sell, like all other competition is also top quality. And then the individual contracting can be done with as already mentioned, payment facilities. For these people which are in this oil business, I just want to mention the market leader here is Wilmar from Indonesia, and they run the palm oil plantations here. And the main oil which we are consuming in West Africa is coming from these palm oil plantations. There is a refinery in Tema, and there is a refinery in Takoradi, and they will put other refinery up in Liberia. And that means this is the basic supply. All the rest, for people which wants to live a little bit more healthy, and so they have started to buy sunflower oil, they have started to buy rapeseed oil, and then the very small percentage is olive oil. Though these are niche markets, I would say. This is not a bulk market except sunflower oil, because sunflower oil has taken up from palm oil in the last 2 years more than 10% of the market share. Why? Because more and more people which are coming from abroad are used to sunflower oil and know that the health factor is better with sunflower oil or with rapeseed oil as with palm oil. This is contract supply. So the contract supply is a business-to-business relation supply. That means here we are talking about certain containers, maybe one container per week, maybe one container in 2 weeks, and with one specific customer which is taking off this stuff. Coming to the next category, which is actually the equipment supply. Equipment is one thing which you can sell very good in West Africa in the ECOWAS zone, because at the moment we don't have manufacturer for dozers, for excavators, for graders, and all the other heavy-duty machinery. Also road construction machines, all that can be sold. But again, financing. We had a Liberian contract and this could be only executed when 20% down payment was done and the rest was financed from a European bank, even for Russian equipment, a European bank for Russian equipment, over 5 years, and they got the contract. But it was a mixed contract for road construction, drainage system, and so very special machines, even demarcation of the roads. So it was a mixture, and that was actually why we could finance it through Europe from German supplies and Russian supplies. And the German supplies had more or less 40%, and the Russian supplies had 60%. So it was easy, or not easy, but it was possible to finance it, let me put it like that. You have to be aware that the all world dominant Caterpillar is dominating the market for all heavy duty machines. For example, what we are trying to put on the market from Chetra is also in competition with Caterpillar. Though that means you should orientate yourself already before you want to enter here, before you want to offer something, on the prices which are on the market. And Caterpillar is servicing Africa from Dubai. So that means here we have also a special situation that the African branch is in Egypt, but it's also supplied from Dubai. Dubai is tax-free. So we are talking about prices which are really, for some producers in Russia, were unbelievable. But then they went themselves to Dubai and was seeing that. So that means please make your market research before you think about such things and coming to the market, because this helps you a lot to avoid embarrassment and to avoid situations where somebody comes up with a price and say, here's my Caterpillar, or he shows you the Caterpillar, they don't have a problem with that. And that is where you have to come, and of course you have to come with the same payment conditions. So that means the truck market, the trailer, the heavy duty trailer market, the equipment market is dominated by either Caterpillar from the equipment side, or European companies like MAN and Iveco and DAF. Not so much Mercedes. Mercedes is here already too sophisticated. Mercedes is only for a few companies which want to drive a Mercedes, but actually this is not creating happiness when you are driving a Mercedes in Africa or in West Africa, let's put it like that. And so you have chances as Kamaz, you have chances to sell here, but I see it with Kamaz in all the years we are trading Kamaz here. They have a real problem with the financing, and to have a real problem to compete with the competition, because the competition is easy to set out financing, which is really comfortable for the Africans under the situation that our banks are useless. So this is something what is also to be looked at. Now, another possibility here for the heavy duty equipment is to come back to point one, where we are talking about the railway construction, for example. The East Corridor of the Ghana Railway has been given out to Russian companies to construct. Now, the contract is a governmental contract between Ghana and the Russian government. And of course, they are looking for executing companies to do the job. Now here the Russian company has a possibility to come in through such a contract, which is also internally tendered in Russia, to invite such companies to bid for it. And then they of course bring their own equipment with them. And this gives a chance for the producer of the equipment like Kamaz, which is already here, or other. Well, there's not much what beside of Kamaz, there are only special companies, but MAS was here. MAS failed completely because they were not able to set up a workshop system which guaranteed that their trucks are still on the road. So here come automatically possibilities for investors to set up side businesses, for example, workshops for Russian equipment, spare parts storages for Russian equipment, road services for Russian and other equipment. So these are possibilities for people which are prepared to invest in Ghana or in neighboring countries. But of course, they will start with countries like Ghana, where a contract is executed, which is already including Russian equipment. Gazprom is also here. So they are laying pipes. So the Russian pipe layers and all that sort of things, also from Chetra, for example, they are here and they can be then built on because you can see them on the ground. You can invite your customer. But of course, these are special projects. You will not sell any pipe layer in Ghana because there are no private pipelines. So that means you have to join such projects if you want to come into such contracts and supply of such equipment from Russia. The other thing is that you might want to sell your equipment to Russian individual companies. And here we come back to the system which we have developed in the meantime with Kamaz also, that you are delivering your equipment into a bonded warehouse. The equipment is standing there, the company is coming, is inspecting the equipment, is agreeing what is there, or they want to have some amendments which can be done on the ground. And then the price is clear. They go to the bank, they transfer you the money. As soon as you have the money, you release a truck. That is a very easy transfer. But that means that you are bringing down your equipment on your own costs and put it in a bonded warehouse from where you are selling. But I can tell you, MAN is doing that in the meantime, and the market share of MAN has increased dramatically because of their sales system out of the bonded warehouse and out of the stocks they have always here on the ground. Because it's very complicated to tell a customer that, first of all, we have 4 months or 3 months or whatever production time. So you have to wait already. Then you have at least 1 month, 6 weeks shipping time. Then you have 2 to 3 weeks clearing time in the harbor before the equipment is out. So that means we are talking about 6 to 8 months before any customer can really use his equipment. And that is a very long time. So if the equipment is on the ground, he is not even picky with the color or whatever, because he needs a truck because he has signed a contract for a particular road construction or whatever, and he needs 5 trucks, but he needs them tomorrow morning. So if you have them in store, you sell. If you have to order, probably you're not selling, because the time till the equipment reaches here, his contract must be executed already. So that means you have always to see when you want to market, which is my specialty, then please make sure that you come down for a fact-finding mission. I can tell you a lot of things, but this is just that you have not experienced it. And I can only advise everybody, make an appointment through Sology. We structure for you a tour here. We know what you want to sell. We find you potential customers. So when you come down, you will visit these customers. We will go with you to the bank so that you can and for all of that. And we have discussed all your questions personal in this 1 week you are here. And we have shown you around. Then you know what you can expect from your investment or from your motion to Africa. And from there you can take it. But I would not advise you just to do that by mail, whatever it is, except that, of course, we are telling about some appliances, you don't have to, that is a peanuts business. But when we are talking about heavy duty equipment, about trucks, about machinery, about processing machinery for food, about all the possibilities which you have, for investment in the food industry. For example, we have a very nice project at the moment, the production of starch from cassava. So that is an investment in a cassava starch production plant, which can be easy done from Russia because you have the technologies. They must be a little bit amended for Africa because as slow the technology is, as better it is. But this is a project where you have an off-taker on the ground. These are all the breweries, the beverage industries, so that you know that you don't have even to look for a market. You are just producing and sell it to the off-takers here on the ground. These are attractive investment projects which can be structured and which have also not a pressure as such because of the cassava involved, the peeling and the processing, and then you have your off-takers here with the logistic involved. So that is a very round project. The project volume in the tune of 400 tons per week for the production is around about 60 million euros, which is about 40 million alone in equipment and the rest in the infra. About what size of projects can be done here. We have also a banana plantation which can be executed where the land is ready, where the chiefs have given the land. So that is also an investment of around about 80 to 100 million. And so if you are prepared for such things, there are other things, sugarcane, with sugarcane processing. Then we have a glass factory which can be taken over to produce bottles here and work with recycling glass. We have the possibility to set up a pyrolysis plant for plastic waste. So that all that is what is on the table. But it will be too detailed now to go in all that, otherwise we are sitting here till the evening. So we are able to react, to offer you different possibilities if you tell us in which field you want to invest and in what you want to work and what the outcome should be. That is for this heavy duty and machinery market, actually what you should know about that. Now we are going into the appliance market and other smaller equipments. Here it's very hard to sell that because the Chinese competition and the local competition is high. But of course, it's possible if you have fruit juicers, toasters, and whatever, especially air conditions also, and of course, everything what is producing in the households some help. There is a market for that. That is not the European market because a bush house, which has hardly electricity, doesn't need a mixer and a blender or whatever. So that is also for me a niche market where you can make contracts with companies here on the market, like supermarkets, which are selling then your products, but they have, as European supermarkets, also their payment conditions. They will pay you mainly after half a year you have supplied. So you need somebody to monitor that, how much is sold and how many is coming back as faulty and things like that. But that can be structured. So, but this is for me a very specific contract market, which is not, let's put it like that, is not the usual deal you are dealing in West Africa. But it can be done. Now, coming to the resources here, that is another big field. West Africa, especially Ghana and Ivory Coast, are producing the best cocoa in the world. So you should also think that West Africa is a huge reservoir on resources. We can apply the cocoa beans, we can apply the cocoa liquor, we can apply the cocoa butter, we can apply the cocoa powder. So this is attractive for the confectionery industry, for the bakery industry to import that. And it can be also a combination of the classical barter trade, that you supply some bulk goods from Russia, and as payment through the triangle, you get then the goods from West Africa. They are used to that still, and it's coming more and more because of the difficulties to deal with the banks. Though that is something what you should also consider as a possibility to come in the market and have good possibilities to sell something. Now, the export of our tropical fruits is absolutely a daily business. Even Russia is buying from us pineapple, ananas. They are buying papayas. They are buying bananas. So these are possibilities for you also to groundnuts. We can also add here, the chocolate industry is highly developed here. So we can even manufacture your chocolate here and in a free zone without taxes, and then send it straight to Russia for sales with your own label, private labels, whatever you want. And then as investor into the cashew business, to look in the shea butter business, because your cosmetic industry, which you have over there, is buying huge amounts of shea butter. The problem at the moment is here that they are not refined. So the shea butter is bought here, sent to Europe, is refined, and then sent to Russia. So that is for an investor a big chance to bring a refinery from Russia, have the shea butter production here, refine the shea butter, and sell it straight to the cosmetic industry. I mean, not only cosmetic industry, there's a lot of other industries which are also using shea butter. So, and the same thing is up with the cashew nuts. You have the production of cashew nuts here. We have some noise in the whole system. There is some background noise. Hello. Okay. So you can buy the raw materials here and then process a cashew nut, even put the cashew nut into different types of chocolates, packs them here and sends them straight to the market in Russia. Now, all this is feasible. Therefore, I'm saying, please contact Sologi, tell them what you want, and we structure a tailor-made solution for you, because this conference is for sure not able to cover everything what is coming up on your questions, because everybody has a specific list of questions for his business. So take this one as a general information, and the opening you have also in my profile, which is hopefully somewhere on the screen, the address, so you can also contact me direct. As I said, we are the partners of Sologi, and we are working together. So either you contact them or us direct, and we give the feedback also to Sologi. So that is not a problem at all. And it opens you up the possibilities really to sweep out all the problems which you might have with customers which are writing to you, which you don't know, which you have not screened, which you don't know if they are existing, they are standing, and whatever. So use these possibilities so that you have a security crowdsters, and we can weep that out without that you are losing money. Because, you know, it's always attractive if somebody writes you about a nice business which he says he can give you, and he has one in the ECOWAS. There is no ECOWAS tender. They are only national tenders under the ECOWAS. So don't fall for that. But of course, they are coming also with other tenders, which are private tenders. So that means here, of course, as a producer, I will be also tempted when I read that, and they write that really juicy. Then you read that through and say, wow, I have the possibility to send to Ghana, to Burkina Faso, to Ivory Coast, a €500,000, €1 million deal. But the only thing what you pay are the upfront fees, which they are asking you piece by piece by piece. Until you say, no, I'm not paying anymore, they have already got from you 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 euros for nothing, because these people has nothing in the background which leads to a business. So please, don't be afraid to deal with Africa, but be careful to deal with Africa. And I'm so happy that we have in these 5 years set up a possibility for you in Russia to always get the feedback in Russia from Sologi. So that is easy for you. And if they need some help from us, then they will send us the papers to check them through. And in a few days, we can make sure, yes, this customer is real and existing and has money and potential, or forget about all and don't waste your time. That was in short what I wanted to tell you. The time is nearly over. And I think we want to also do a round of questions. There are some questions already coming in the chat room. And I read here one. What is effective demand? What is the average check-in of stores? I mean, that has to be specified. I cannot generalize it. The demand for imported goods is different. For example, if you are bringing in any tomato products, the demand is very high. The whole kitchen of West Africa is based on tomatoes and processed tomatoes, like purees, like juices and things like that. So if you have such things, yes, you can bring them in, but it would be more clever to make a joint venture with these few tomato processing plants we have here, use their settlement here, and they don't have enough to process the demand of the market, and through them you channel your products into the market. That would be much easier as if you come with your own brand into the market and you have to really work and pay all the money to open the market, to make the advertisement and all those things. So these are possibilities which we can discuss with you. Either you like it or you don't like it, then you can make your decision on it. And that will help you to set up a stable and a sustainable business for years, because there is no short, fast money in Africa, except it's a fraud or somebody wants to loan them money. If this is a money washing game, okay, fine. But that is also not what you want to do, because that endangers you to be blacklisted and to be banned from the trade. So that is what is on the ground for you. It's easy to access. We are helping you. We are supporting you in every way so that you are not getting a problem with customers which might not be the right customers for your business. In general, I have to say, don't hesitate to come up with whatever you want to sell. We will give you market analysis, and it is, of course, not easy to sell certain types of products because of the buyers and the consumers which we have here, the restrictions in technology they are using. If you go in the north, where really poverty is, these people will for sure not equip their household with blenders and cutters and whatsoever. This is here for the south. So you have always to see that the markets are different for different products. They might be even regional restricted, but it might be also that it is enough for you when you have a zone like the coastal zone, which includes Ivory Coast, which includes Ghana, which includes Nigeria. Then it is already maybe a market segment which is for you satisfying. If you are selling in this area a few thousand units per year, then you are fine. But I have to say one thing about Nigeria. Nigeria is the biggest market in Africa. That is absolutely no doubts. But it's also the most complicated market in Africa. And we have a lot of companies which have started in Nigeria and then decided after 1 or 2 years to resettle in Ghana because of the stress they had in setting up in Nigeria their markets. And I can only again stress that if you want to enter the West African market, come to Ghana, because over there you have a tranquil environment, you have a lot of incentives for investors, and from there you can trade with the whole ECOWAS zone. We have daily flights in all the 15 ECOWAS countries. So it's easy for you to take the morning flight, fly to whatever, Monrovia, Mali, whatever, and be back in the evening or stay overnight, so that you minimize the risk in this country, especially when these countries like Mali, like Niger, have a problem with their own security structures. Let me put it like that. Security structures internal, because you have always to see, you have followed that in the press, there are bomb attacks even in international hotels and so on. So it is advisable when you deal with such countries in such regions to limit your visit to a minimum and make your business over there, but then come back in a more stable zone where you have a much better feeling and you are more secured and the political situation is much more in your favor. So take all that into consideration. I mean, there is a note in the internet where you can read, but in general, I want to conclude to say, don't be afraid to deal with Africa, but do it in the right way. Be careful that no fraudster can lure out money of you, and use the possibilities like Sologi, like us on the ground, to help you to find the right way to come to Africa and really enjoy that you have come. Because as I said, ECOWAS has 350 million potential customers, of course in different categories, but this is more as a European community is. And if you do that in the right way, then for sure with the Russian quality which you are delivering and the Russian products which you are bringing in, which have really a good reputation here, then you have good chances to have a stable and a profitable business here in West Africa. Let me just say West Africa, because I'm not specialized for South Africa. We are dealing with South Africa from West Africa, and we see how different they are dealing with such things as we are dealing here.
Victor, could you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Because we have some questions. I see people who are raising hands. And the first was, I can spell the name, sorry, Yamon Shi, Dr. Julius. Sorry for my spelling, but I'm asking you to unmute and ask your question. I can see the full name here in the Julie Anisette.
Sergey Chesnakov.
Yeah. Okay. Let's ask Sergey. Okay. Sergey, you are in the air. Oh. Yeah. We can hear you. Great. Sorry for my spelling of your name. Yeah. You can ask.
Всем привет! Я очень рад участвовать в такой бизнес-встрече из Бенина, это Западная Африка. Господину Шафер тоже большой привет, потому что Африка надо любить.
Hi to Africa.
Да, Африка надо любить. Я недавно прочитал, что русский бизнес хочет встречаться, а Африка хочет свадьба. Поэтому надо, как можно сказать, иметь терпение и все будет нормально. И ни страна, как ни страна, Китай, который находится очень далеко от нас, его доля в африканском бизнесе первый, впереди Европы, Америка и так далее. Поэтому придется научить бизнес у китайцев тоже. Для того, чтобы все пошло нормально, есть валютный контроль, который мешает или затормаживает сделать бизнес с Африкой. И надо прямой корреспондент банки, да, из России, которые могут иметь корреспондент в Африке. Иначе, чтобы делать перевод денег, надо через Лондон или Париж и где еще. Поэтому много еще придется сделать. И российским правительством тоже, чтобы поддерживать бизнес с Африкой. Спасибо.
Yeah,
I didn't get a translation of that, so.
The translation is in another channel.
Yes, but you didn't connect me to this channel on this.
You are connected to the channel. You can choose the channel in the menu of Zoom. But actually, there were no questions, as I understood. So it was more about it was more an opinion. Thank you for your words. And I want to ask Sergey Chesnokov to ask the question. Victor, did you find the other channel?
No, not on this one where I'm in here, because it's not my sound is different from.
Yeah, so you can choose your sound on the computer.
Okay.
Да. Слышно меня, нет?
Сергей, секундочку.
Хорошо.
Did you find, Victor? It's usually on the bottom of.
It's coming, but I have here only.
Или найти подробнее.
No.
There is a button in the menu of Zoom at the bottom, in the right part of the menu. There is a button English Russian.
Just a sec. Sissing. Click on external, tick on the globe on the panel and select. Yeah, but I click there, but then it kicks me out. So that is not proper working. Go ahead. Let me fiddle with that, and then let him ask his question, and then we.
But we want you to understand what he's asking about. That's the reason.
But this menu is not leaving me in the English channel. That is my problem.
It's only one button.
I type it. It's in interpretation, and it shows me English, but. Go ahead now. Maybe if now it's working, that I get the translation. I have clicked the English. I'm on the English, but go ahead. Let's try what is coming out.
Okay, let's try. Сергей.
Да. Хочу сказать огромное спасибо Виктору за очень обстоятельную, речь и беседу. Это у человека огромный опыт. Я вижу, я сам как имею вид на жительство в Гане, сам проживаю, имею свою фирму, свой офис, огромный имею бизнес на уровне президента Акуфада и администрации президента. У меня вопрос такой. Как бы нам все-таки наших российских инвесторов, возможно ли объединение? Насколько я знаю, что в Гане нет такого русского сообщества или кто занимается Россией в общественных деятельности в Гане. Вот у меня вопрос. Если можно, то скажите хотя бы в 2 словах. Вы соприкасались с такими организациями, как у нас торгово-промышленная палата, вот деловая Россия, которая помогает бизнесу, как это вот в Гане. Потому что, насколько я знаю, у меня немножко расходятся с вашим выступлением, ну, на 180 градусов. Поэтому хотелось бы услышать вот ваше мнение по поводу того, по продвижению России. Не только Китай, Америка, а именно по России. С общественной точки зрения. Спасибо.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Да.
You are right. Let's put it like that. The Russian business interest is there, but we don't have enough Russian companies which are the medium companies which have come together to set up a chamber of commerce or a Russian business association or something like that. There is in the embassy definitely the tendency to help you to find your way, but of course this is embassy level. They are different from private organizations and they have their own ways how to deal with that. We have a few Russians here which have found their business opportunity. They came here as Galamsey miners to mine gold, and they ended up, for example, one of them is doing now the repair of injector nozzles, of electronic injector nozzles. His business has grown in 5 years from 2 people, actually 2 Russians which were here to dig gold, to now 55 employees and 5 different branches in Russia to do the job. The same can be done for repair of heavy-duty diesel machines. We don't have really repair shops for heavy-duty diesel machines. We don't have gearbox repairs. So all this stuff is possible to do, but you are absolutely right. There is no centralized organization where you can come and say, I want to do this, help me to set that up. So that means this is really the individual contact which you have and which helps you or not helps you depending in the contact. And you are more or less at the moment a lonesome fighter. I personally regret very much that the Russian embassy has closed their cafe, which was in the Russian embassy, and which was actually exactly this point, because over there the Russian people came together, which came to Russia, together with us, which were here in Ghana, and we could exchange and they could find their partners and all these sort of things. Unfortunately, this has changed. The cafe is only for the embassy now and is not this turntable of the business anymore. And I have spoken to Alexei from Sologi years ago that I would very much appreciate if a group of Russian potential investors and businessmen could come together and set up a Russian technology center here, so that we can offer office space, whatever is needed in working space in the free zone, so that everybody is free to come, have even only one office, but also an attached hotel, so that he can enjoy a certain security, which gives him a lot of comfort. And from there, we can expand this Russian business in whole West Africa. That is absolutely necessary, because when you come as a single fighter here, then you might waste your time and you will be here 2 weeks and you have achieved nothing. You have talked to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, nothing will realize. And also, what I also want to add is there are only a few trade fairs existing at the moment. Though that is not a very attractive tool to come. We have some trade fair for food, we have a trade fair for packing material, we have a trade fair for renewable energy. But we don't have a special trade fair for heavy duty equipment, for trucks and all these sort of things. So that is not easy to find your way as a producer of such equipment and find a good solution to sell it here.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you for your question. And we have other Sergey Shilov. Could you please? Oh, sorry. Sergey Chesnakov, you're talking, right? Sorry.
Виктор, знаю, что вы являетесь партнером КамАЗа.
I don't hear anything at the moment. Now I hear something.
Да. Так как вы являетесь партнером КамАЗа, скажите, пожалуйста, тогда такую ситуацию, что фирма МАЗ, которая 10 лет была представлена представительством, это белорусская компания, за 10 лет они продали всего лишь 100 МАЗов и свернули свое представительство в связи с тем, что у них не было административного ресурса. Вот бы хотелось узнать, есть ли вообще у КамАЗа перспективы в Западной Африке? Потому что я разговаривал с представителями, с помощниками генеральных директоров, которые собирались открывать завод по производству КамАЗа. И вот уже 2 года они занимаются одними отписками. Просто немножко информация, уж извините, конечно, из 2 источников, и она противоречивая. Потому что, насколько мы знаем, что КамАЗ, он только поставил по уровню Организации Объединенных Наций всего лишь 60, если мы говорим про ГАМ. Поэтому не дадите ответ, почему МАЗ, это Беларусь, наше союзное государство, свернуло свое представительство. Спасибо, если знаете. Спасибо.
Yes, there were different reasons for that. First of all, I have to correct you. We have sold a site of the United Nations about 250 KAMAZ already here in the West African region. Out of this, 70 were prime movers, which went on to the forwarding business. We have sold now some special trucks for the people which are collecting in the north, the shear butter. We have sold tipper trucks which are working in the mines in Liberia and also in Ghana in transport. But the whole problem here is, as I said already, there is no workshop and there is no spare part supply. You can sell such equipment only if you have the structure of service and the spare part supply. If you have to wait till they send from Russia a spare part by air, and your truck is standing there for 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and then you have to pay the airfares and all that, that is not attractive to buy such trucks. What we do is, when we are selling KAMAZ trucks, we insist that the customer is ordering 20% spare parts with it. And we have in the meantime here a mobile structure, not a stable workshop, but a structure where we go with a pickup out and repair the KAMAZ trucks in case they have to be repaired. And mainly we are relying on the spare parts which the customer has brought in with his trucks. But if not, then we have also the problem, if it's not a common spare part like filter or V-belts or so, which we can substitute with everything, but if it's a specific KAMAZ spare part, the trucks might really stand up to 2-3 weeks. We had a problem in Liberia to change the rear axle on a KAMAZ, and the rear axle had to be flown in. Till all this was arranged, until the rear axle was here, it took 6 weeks. So these are handicaps, especially also for MAS. MAS, for example, had the problem that their clutches were absolutely not made for the overload which you have to expect here. But this is something what you have also to influence a customer. Each customer wants to have the biggest bucket which is on the market. But if I buy a 20 cubic meter bucket and then I take this truck and I carry iron ore with a specific weight of 2.9 in a 20 cubic meter bucket, then I have to be aware that this truck is hopelessly overloaded. So that means when the truck is not tailor-made for what it has to do, then the best truck will die on it. And that was a problem with MAS. First of all, it was the financing here. It was financed with NEK. And they are a private financer, which is even worse than a bank from their interest rates. So the entrepreneur which was driving the MAS had to bring all his profit straight to the bank, and he could not invest in setting up a spare parts store and a workshop and things like that. And then you saw this MAS breaking down on each corner here on the road because their clutch had burnt. But this was not because of the MAS, it was the overloading of the truck. The truck was meant for 20 tons and it was loaded with 36 tons. So the best clutch cannot work on that. So that means here much more education of the customers has to come. What is a truck meant for? And if I know that from the very beginning on, then of course I can oversize a truck because I can give him another gearbox. But of course the truck will be more expensive, but it will last. For example, the trucks in Liberia which are working in the mines, they have gearboxes from 40-tonner trucks. And we don't have a problem with them. So that means you have also your working experience and your learning experience when you sell Russian equipment. And you always say, yeah, but they are working in Siberia and so. But Siberia is not Africa. In Siberia, you have drivers which know that if they overload the truck by 100%, they will drown in the next river. So, so that means here you have to see also with whom you are dealing. And this is also the experience which you need from Africa, that these people, they don't care. They have a truck and they load. We have now the problem, 8x4 trucks which are delivered are getting three additional axles which have no function, just to load for each axle load 11.5 tons on the same truck. So we have now trucks which were original 8x4 running as 10x4 with a complete load of 65 tons. I mean, what do you expect from this truck as dying?
Спасибо за ответ, да. Спасибо. Спасибо.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Victor, I want to ask you to put your phone back because we are watching your backpack, but we want to see your face.
Yes, I try that, but it tells me that our bandwidth is so low that it cannot manage to put us on. So let's see if the bandwidth stabilizes a little bit. Then I might come back automatically. So let's go on like that.
Your camera,
I mean, you have seen me already.
Your camera is working. Everything is okay, but it's just move the phone.
Yeah, but it pops always. The internet connection is instable and the bandwidth is low. So that might be so. Anyhow, let's continue that we are not wasting time because we hear each other. So I try to come back.
Could you please turn the camera? Could you please turn the camera? Just turn it. Yeah, again, again.
Yeah, I tried, but any which means let's see what comes out here.
Okay, we have another question from.
At least I see you now.
Oh, great. Okay. Nice to see you. Let's ask Sergey Shilov to come online and to switch on phone and to ask a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you proper.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I can do it in English or in Russian.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Then, in due respect to our principal speaker, Mr. Schaffer, and with the greetings for the forthcoming Christmas, I'll stick to English in that case. My name is Sergei Shilov, and I work for a new organization which is called Afrocom, which enjoys a happy relationship with Delovaya Россия and our organizers today. We are not exactly born yesterday, but we have just reorganized, and we are part of the Chamber of Commerce of the Russian Federation, and we share the same concerns for the future of the Russian-African business relationship. And the agenda is very much close to what you have been describing. The organization is mostly consists of people who have had practical business relations throughout Africa, much experience, both bad and good. And we are keen to share that with our membership on one hand, and to take it further on to facilitate success much in the same way as you have described. So I'm sure most of the audience who is listening to now is aware of our existence, and you are welcome to join us as we go along. I think we should be quite well advanced within the next few months. Now back to the questions. I do appreciate a lot of your experience with heavy equipment, and the difficulties of KAMAZ and MAZ you have described are very much relevant. On the other hand, we are more concerned with the possibilities for the small to medium-sized enterprises who are yet to find their place in the supply chain, and even in small, like you said, special trade, like what you have described in whatever fifth or fourth category. I do understand that for a small to medium-sized enterprise, it is a big challenge. On the other hand, one has to keep in mind that what we describe as medium size is not necessarily production of micro ovens or refrigerators. What we're talking about here is now more of the IT technology, financial technology, communications, smart city solutions. And these, of course, fall mostly under the category of the government contracts on one hand. But on the other, I'm aware that there are a lot of international corporations and African corporations working in Western Africa, which might be seeing use for the Russian solutions, Russian originating solutions in their general supply chain, which in turn leads us to the question as to how we translate the achievements of the Russian IT or Russian, which would be described in economic terms as medium size, into the local market. That is more of a question whether you see the possibility of this kind of enterprises getting into the supply chains of corporations rather than governments. That's question number one. Question number two is more of a feasibility of a joint trading house or whatever you have described. I have just noticed that you are two people concerned with the Russian trade sitting in the same city of Accra. You haven't met, and from the previous participant in the conversation, you haven't met, you haven't talked, and even with the closed down cafe at the embassy, I'm sure there should be a lot of opportunities to meet, especially if you are generally talking with the Russians. And I'm quite surprised. I worked in Angola, in South Africa, in Namibia, Russians normally tend to crowd together, especially on like national holidays or New Year, and they do share certain tastes in certain ways of spending their free time, if you see what I mean. So that's the second question. Why is it that you don't meet all that much? And the third question is more of a practical side. You have described very eloquently the facilities which your company, your consultancy company, can provide with the newcomers, for the newcomers. What are the costs of such cooperation? What's the price tag which you obviously would expect to find in any of such consultancy agreement? That would about cover in terms of questions, and I do hope that in the future we could concentrate more on the projects which would be to the tune of, let's say, $5 million. And all those major processing factories for $40 or $100 million. This is not exactly the scope for the audience we are all dealing with, and because the big guys will be fighting their own battles between Caterpillar and Kamaz, or between Igamoto from Tokyo and whoever from Germany. That would be a different story. Our story is about entrepreneurship and about going there and having a clear idea as to what they're getting into. I absolutely agree with you that the first and the foremost, any aspiration to deal with Africa starts with studying the competition, and just for all the tribal and political stories are very important. Administrative resource is important, but the most important one is the competition you are getting there from the transnationals, from the Chinese, from the neighboring countries, and that's you don't even start before you tapped a few keys on your computer and checked out the internet. That's my advice and our advice to all of them. The in-depth study always costs money, which brings us back to the original, to the question I asked before. How much money you would estimate a small to medium enterprise should be prepared to spend for the preliminary study of the market? Thank you very much all, and Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, to answer direct your questions, thank you very much. They were absolutely relevant questions. To answer the easiest one is, we might not have met in Accra because Accra itself is rather decentralized. And if you are not working in the same field of expertise, then it's not very certain that you will meet each other. Because I said, when the cafe in the Russian embassy were there, everybody was there every week. But now they are gathered all over the city in different places. And if you are not coming across on the National Day of Russia or so, which was not celebrated this year, then it's hard to meet each other. But that is not the point. The point is that we need really a centralized setup where such medium-sized companies can come for small money and start with the market. Now, to go on to your question, yes, there is a lot of opportunity for these small enterprises to enter the market, especially when you have IT technology, when you have renewable energy technologies, and when you have the banking system technologies and so on. The thing is that you need a good Ghanaian partner to smoothen your operations. This cannot be a minority partner. And when you think about coming to Ghana, for example, then go on the website of GIPC. GIPC is the Center for Investors, is a Ghanaian promotion center for investors, where you have all the on the website in different splittings the cost factors, what it will cost to set up, to register a company, to put in the shares and all these sort of things. Now that is an official site. Now coming to your question of consultancy, that is always the question, what type of consultancy should BET see? I mean, a basic structure we can do in let's say maximum a week's time. Though that will go with a cost between 1,000 and 1,500 euros, and you have already your basic structure standing. If then you come down and we will go around with you and so on, so then we have to see how long will that take. But in the average, I can tell you that medium-sized companies which are coming here have a cost factor, including traveling and including all these other things. They have to factor in like hotels and transport on the ground and so on, which is not under 20,000 euros altogether if they are here for 1 week. And that is actually the basic what they should be prepared to invest, just to find out if this market is matching for them or not. And as I said, I encourage everybody to come here and have a look himself on the market and to find out how the thing is, how Africa is, because it is not, even if you come not from Moscow and you come from Rostov or wherever, it is not like home. So you must have an affinity really to accept how the Africans are, how the African traditions are, how the Africans are ticking, and you must also accept that everything is hot here and you cannot stay the whole day in air condition. So that means do your due diligence, go to the internet, as you said already rightly, make your research, and if that leads to the next step that you want to have really a tailor-made information about your business, so that you say, okay, I want to sell this, this should be my target group and so on, and this can be structured for you. And depending how deep that should be, there are different, we are not the only ones. I mean, there is a German HAK existing. They are doing the same thing for you. It's not only for the Germans. The Außenhandelskammer is very well established. They are also doing the food fair. They are doing the renewable energy fair. So that means here you have a cost structure which you know from the very beginning how much that will be, and you can decide if you want to spend this money or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the answer. And I want to ask other participant, Tatiana Tudvaseva. You had a question. You can ask.
For me?
Yeah, for you, Tatiana.
Да, здравствуйте. Я приветствую всех участников вебинара. Здравствуйте, Виктор. Счастливого Рождества и счастливого Нового года. Виктор, у вас идет английский перевод?
Yes, I can hear you in English. Yes, I can hear you in English.
Хорошо.
Perfect.
Спасибо. Вы говорили о том, что вход в Африку лучше всего совершать через Гану. Совершенно с вами здесь соглашусь. У нас существует уже в течение 5 лет, с 2015 года, фестиваль Гатинга, из которого родился международный культурно-деловой проект Гатинга «Африканский колокольчик». Это, кстати, в переводе с одного из древних ганских языков. И получается, что у нас достаточно много друзей и соратников в Гане. Мы как раз обмениваемся культурными традициями, то есть говорим о том, что бизнес начинать в другой стране, не узнав культуру и традиции, совершенно почти невозможно. И хотела я вам задать вопрос, а что вы думаете о Бенине? Потому что в Бенине также у нас есть друзья, также есть соратники и также есть культурные связи. Вот каково ваше мнение о Бенине? Потому что вы говорили, что в Нигерии сложно, Мали сложно с точки зрения безопасности, ну и так далее. Здесь тоже с вами соглашусь. Вот хотелось бы услышать ваше мнение о Республике Бенин.
Are you finished with your question? Hello?
Yeah, she finished the question.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, look, Benin is for sure a very nice place and also a very nice place to stay. But you have to take into consideration it's a very, very small country. And Benin is also a very special country in terms of their cultural engagements and their traditions they have. So you will for sure enjoy to be there and even to have a house direct on the beach and enjoy all that. But as a trade hub, you have to see that you need to be on a place where the landlocked countries, which is Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, everything what is in the north comes down to the harbor. And Benin has not a major harbor on the West African coast. The major harbors is Ivory Coast and Ghana. And 80% of all the cargo which is imported for the landlocked countries comes in here. So when you are in Tema, in Takoradi, or in Ivory Coast in the port, then you have automatically an influx of customers which you don't have even to care for, because if you are in the right area located and they pass by your store, they will pop in and then you have your deal and you have your trade. I personally like Benin very much, but I can tell you that to sell something in Benin can be on the Nigeria and going to Ghana. Yes, they pass Benin. Yes, the internet is unstable. So people which are coming from Nigeria and going to Ghana, they are passing Benin. But I have not seen a lot which are stopping in Benin to find business. So that means it's a decision what you want to do. And of course you can live in Benin and have your business in Tema, because it's so close together that you can go every weekend there and enjoy the real nice country. But for business is for me, for your culture, yes, because this is a very culturous country where you can have a lot of tourist attractions and excitements. But if you are talking about industries which are coming in with processing machines for food or anything like that, then Benin is for me a dead point of trade. Because these three people which you met over there, which are helpful for your business, that is not enough to sustain your business here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your answer, Татьяна. Thank you for your question.
Да. Большое спасибо. И я хотела бы еще чуть-чуть добавить к теме о создании общественной организации, общественного центра. Как раз у нас с нашими коллегами, соратниками, с друзьями из Ганы давно уже зреет такое желание создать общественную организацию, которая бы, собственно говоря, россиян, входящих в Гану, знакомила с культурой и традицией народов, населяющих Гану, а ганцев, соответственно, знакомить с культурой и традицией богатой России, потому что в этом мы схожи, многоконфессиональные, многонациональные и так далее. То есть у нас вот в Петербурге в течение 5 лет работает такой проект Гатинга, и мы, собственно говоря, уже его так немного транслируем в других странах Африки. Поэтому если мы найдем точки соприкосновения, ну, я вижу, что это актуально становится, и я буду рада взаимодействовать и с вами, и с вот Сергеем Чесноков, вы, я насколько поняла, вы живете и работаете в Гане, с другими деятелями, как-то объединить наши усилия и совместно создать такой общественный центр, где могли бы встречаться и бизнесмены, как с ганской и российской стороны, и подтягиваться молодежь, изучать русский язык, русские традиции, культуру, ну и, в общем-то, через это налаживать и деловые связи, как в малом и среднем бизнесе, так и в других вопросах. Спасибо.
Let me just add here one thing. You have only talked about the Russians which are living in Ghana, but we have a huge community of Ghanaians educated in Russia which are speaking Russian. And in the old setup of the embassies, we had a Russian cultural center. And that was really a good thing. Unfortunately, they cancelled it. But what you are talking about is to revamp a Russian cultural center and also invite these people which have been in Russia, have been educated in Russia, have an inside knowledge of the Russian culture. And this is really the mix which you need, because when these two cultures come together with people which understand each other, then automatically business is developing.
Yeah, thank you.
Спасибо.
Thank you. We are, I suppose that we're going to finish soon. So I want to give time to say a word from Alexey Vakromov, the Director of International Projects, Zoology. Alexey, could you please switch on the microphone? Yeah.
Да, Ирина, большое спасибо. Thank you very much, Victor. Nice to see you again. Thank you for your bravery that you decided to run this webinar for the Russian business audience. It's very kind of you, and Merry Christmas. Speaking in Russian, да, еще раз я вот от имени группы компании Zoology поблагодарил Виктора за то, что он принял наше приглашение провести сегодня такой вебинар, безусловно, очень полезный для всех, потому что, ну, огромный опыт, который Виктор имеет, я считаю, что человек должен таким опытом делиться, и я сам, когда был в Акре, когда мы с Виктором как бы, ну, посещали, скажем так, да, различные объекты, ездили и в Тему, ездили на плотину Касомба, то можно сказать, что буквально вот, да, за несколько дней с нашей первой встречи, я не знаю, прошел там обучение, наверное, как за несколько лет в каком-нибудь вузе. То есть столько очень полезной, интересной и ценной информации я получил. Чтобы вкратце, то наша группа компаний Zoology уже более 10 лет вовлечена в различные проекты на африканском континенте. Это и логистика, и трейдинг, машиностроение. В этом году развиваем направление экспортной акселерации, являемся аккредитованным агентом Российского экспортного центра, сотрудничаем с школой экспорта РЭЦ. В том числе есть у нас и специальная программа для центров поддержки экспорта касательно именно развития бизнеса в Африке. Ну, Виктор в своей презентации очень правильно подчеркнул, что необходимо иметь надежных партнеров на континенте. Буквально неделю назад мы вместе с Виктором отработали по одному кейсу, где, по сути, раскрыли мошенническую схему, на которую там чуть было, да, если современно выражаясь, чуть не повелся один российский производитель напольных стеновых покрытий. Его, скажем, рекламу нашел такой Ганец шустрый, ну, то ли на Alibaba, я не знаю где, в общем, вышел сам на связь с российским производителем и, в общем, попросил прайс-лист, подробную информацию о производимой продукции. Вот. После чего написал, что проводится тендер в закупочном подразделении ЭКОВАС, и что как бы он как представитель тендерного комитета ЭКОВАС в Гане приглашает этого российского производителя принять участие в тендере. Там. Не прошло там и несколько дней, как российский производитель получил уведомление о победе в тендере, там, цена контракта, рассчитанного с поставками на 10 месяцев, порядка $3 миллионов. Вот. Ну, дальше традиционно, безусловно, интерес огромный. Эта новость вызвала и радость, да, у российского поставщика. Вот. А часто на своем, да, вот, опыте работы мы видим, что порой вот такие как бы радостные объявления, они затмевают разум, да. Вот. И как ни парадоксально, но взрослые вроде и разумные люди готовы совершенно спокойно расставаться со своими деньгами, да, потому что после таких аннаунсментов, скажем, о победе начинаются различные способы, как вытянуть деньги, там, то внести какой-то депозит, то заплатить юристу и так далее. Вот. Но вот совместно и благодаря Виктору мы смогли показать, доказать российскому поставщику, что это именно мошенническая схема, что никаких тендеров такого рода не было, что компания не зарегистрирована на самом деле надлежащим образом в Гане. И, собственно, объяснили вкратце поставщику, как строится работа на тендерных площадках национальных и так далее. Вот, поэтому в заключении хотелось бы еще раз посоветовать: цените свое время, работайте как бы с надежными партнерами. Вот, всех поздравляю с наступающим годом. Виктор, еще раз с Рождеством, огромное спасибо. Thank you very much for your participation today. Спасибо, до свидания.
Thank you, Alexei. We are going to finish our meeting, but I can see raised hands. So if you still have questions, and we can ask Victor if he has time for more questions, and if he has, so we can spend some more time. Victor?
For me, it's not a problem. Let's go on. Because anyhow, it's the first meeting we have, and I hope that we can make this a permanent thing, that at least once a month we will come together in such a meeting, and also raise then more questions which are not so general as we did discuss today, because we might think that we split up in different groups for the interests of this particular participants, in terms of either the products they want to sell, or the groups they want to come in. So let's go on and see what else is on the map.
We gathered questions from the registration form, and there are very precise questions that Victor was offered us. Victor offered us to answer these questions after the webinar. So if you still have questions, you can send them to Business Russia, and we will try to manage all the answers to be delivered. Okay. So I can see the hand from Franklin. If you are here, you can ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon from Ghana. I'm Franklin. Yeah, I'm Franklin. Actually, I'm very excited, and I would love to say you've done a very great job establishing this kind of Zoom meeting for everybody across the nation or across the country or across the world to participate. I'm presently in Ghana. I managed to live in Russia for some time, and I'd work with Tatiana Tudvasiva for the Afro Festival, and I'm part of the organization of graduate students from Russia in Ghana. But it's quite surprising that for the 5 years that I've lived in Ghana, I've not notified such meetings, such people of high business formalities here in Ghana that we can coordinate together and do things together as the SAYUT or the Soviet Graduate Union of Ghanaian students in Ghana, and then the Russian Business Partnership. But everything goes through the embassy, which limits with the private business entities ability to become maybe country managers to our companies. I was in Russia last year for the social business for my company, and I think it would have been great for me to meet such influential people that are on this platform over there to discuss business and see what we can do for ourselves. I think I'm very happy for this, and I would love to connect with you people, the Russians that are here in Ghana, that are doing business in Ghana, introduce them to my company, introduce them to my organization, and then as well as Tatiana has been in partnership with us. I think we can do things together. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. We already finished our official part, but if I see that some people want to talk and say something, as for example, Mikhail Fateev. Mikhail, if you're still interested in a conversation, you can say. Михаил.
Да. Добрый день. Вы мне слово даете, да?
Да.
Вы меня слышите? Отлично. Спасибо большое за приглашение. Ну, я член делового совета России ЮАР. У нас немножко сейчас другой регион Африки затронутый. Виктор говорит, что значит, ну, ситуация, конечно, в Гане, скажем, она отличается от южноафриканской, но тем не менее проблемы для российского бизнеса в странах Африки примерно одинаковые. Вот. И спасибо вам большое. Это вот второй вебинар вы за короткое время организовываете. Вот предыдущий, где Екатерина Дьяченко была, необычайно интересное было у нее сообщение. И вот сегодня тоже Виктор интересно рассказывал и другие. Поэтому большое спасибо. У меня, знаете, вот хотел только одно замечание такое сделать методологического характера. Вы знаете, вы меня слышите, да? Алло? Меня слышно?
Yes, yes.
Да-да. Я хотел бы сделать одно замечание. Часто говорят, и сегодня вот это прозвучало, сравнение, что вот китайцы так здорово активно работают в Африке, а вы, русские, там вот отстаете и так далее. Ну как же так? Вот. Мне кажется, что вот хотелось бы сказать вот африканским нашим товарищам, что здесь есть методологически, есть неверная постановка вопроса, чисто методологически. Дело в том, что вот, например, есть такой великий, мы считаем его, географ, путешественник XIX века Миклуха Маклай. Вот, он в своих дневниках, он рассказывает в XIX веке про китайцев, как китайцы на низовом уровне, они от дома к дому продают вещи, общаются в тяжелейших условиях, вот, зарабатывают себе на хлеб и работают. Вот. А в отличие от них, пишет Миклуха Маклай, тот же те голландцы, англичане, например, ну, они начальники, представители колониальной бюрократии и так далее. О русском бизнесе вообще нет речи. Теперь дальше. В Советском Союзе, в социалистическом экономическом укладе частный бизнес вообще был запрещен. Тем, что мы сейчас занимаемся, внешней торговлей, с иностранными государствами. В Советском Союзе называлась форцовка. За форцовку форцовщиков сажали в тюрьму. Спекулянтов, которые перепродавали, покупали в одном месте и продавали в другом, они назывались спекулянтом, они сажались в тюрьму. Цеховики, которые занимались частными производствами, они сажались в тюрьму. Стыдно и позорно было заниматься частным бизнесом. Только лишь после 90-го года, 91-го года, мы сейчас в России введено частная собственность на средства производства, и стало возможным легально заниматься частным бизнесом. В Китае не так. В Китае коммунизм существовал всего лишь навсего там с 50-х по 80-х годов до Дэн Сяопина. И ментально люди сохранили опыт частного бизнеса и так далее. Поэтому дайте нам время, с одной стороны, повзрослеть, когда наш бизнес тоже освоится. Ну и потом спасибо вот тем участникам, которые работают, за их энтузиазм и за их опыт, за их энергию, которую они вкладывают в развитие частного бизнеса. Вот я хотел вот это сказать. Спасибо. Все.
Thank you. Okay, it's. I suppose it was like the last thing to say. I mean, like an opinion too. I see the huge demand for conversation and for networking, and I see that it was a great idea to organize a webinar. And I suppose that we should end the networking part after this. And. But as for me, if you still have time, I have some questions because that were asked before the webinar. And one of them was very interesting, is how to find clients in Africa. Actually, are there any platforms or any websites or organizations? I mean, I know that you told a lot about finding partners, but if doing this by myself, for example, how should I do this in the right way?
Was a question for me?
Yeah, it was a question for you, right?
Okay, now, of course, there are platforms existing, and with the IT technology, it becomes more and more. But as we already said, we have IT technology which brings together people which have a non-serious interest in business. And they use this platform to come into your business, to engage you in your business, and then to fraud you. Though that means it is existing, it can be used, but it has to be used very, very carefully. So if you don't have the possibility to really check this potential partner and this new one which has come through the IT, be very suspicious and be very careful what you are doing. In the meantime, thanks to IT, all the registered generals in West Africa and these 15 member states of ECOWAS have an internet access so that you can check if this company is really registered. And I can only tell everybody, the first step before you even talk to him, let him send the registration and the commence business certificate. He will send you, maybe as we had the case, as Alexei was saying, that he sends you a registration certificate which is clearly to be identified as wrong or fraud or falsificate. But when you go in the website of the Register General of Ghana, for example, then you can determine if this company was registered, how long it was registered, who are the shareholders, what is the paid-in capital, and all these sort of things. So use all that possibilities which you have thanks to IT to make yourself comfortable that before you even engage in any conversation which leads to something what might commit you and where he can raise an invoice on, that you have made your due diligence, and if you are not sure, contact our office in Sologi, and we will help you to find out what the best is and if they are existing or not existing or whatsoever, so that you are by all means on the safe side before you continue. There's a lot of fraudsters out there which have nothing else to do.
Yeah, we know this, and yeah, you told a lot about this, but this is the question was: are there any platforms for the place where I can find the potential buyer, and where is it possible in Africa? Like, do you know the names of these platforms? That was the question.
Yes, we have certain platforms here, but this you have then to arrange that you enter this platform on a contract base and you place your goods over there, and then they can be ordered straight through the internet. But of course this will not happen for anything what is a plant or something like that. That must be really something. If you sell shoes or if you sell clothing or if you sell appliances, yes, it will work. But for all the rest, you have to go to the more serious platforms which are existing with the chambers of commerce. You have different chambers of commerces which are running platforms. The Germans are running one, the French are running one, then the Danish are running one, the Dutch are running one. So here you can find the requests, and then you can act on the request if it matches your product portfolio. And the others are, we have also trade platforms which are run by bigger companies here, which of course charge a fee for that, but they have actually the customers already proved. So what we can do, when you have the participants, we can make a list of such platforms, and then you issue that for all the participants, and then they can visit such platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That's interesting. And yeah, I told a lot how to check. Yeah, it's interesting. And actually, there were special questions like how to find potential buyers in agri-business, agri-products, and fertilizers. Yeah, so that's like two different.
Yes, I wrote it about the organic fertilizers. Now, what you have to know is that if you want to sell any product in the ECOWAS zone, you have to go through a standard certification. Therefore, each country or most of the countries have a so-called standards authority. And that comes with a rather high fee. So that means if you want to sell, for example, this organic fertilizer, you have to apply to the Ghana Standard Organization or whatever organization in Ivory Coast or so, where you want to sell, and then submit all your papers, submit some samples. They will do a lab test, which you have to pay, and after that you get a registration number, and with this registration number you can sell in the whole ECOWAS zone. So that means you must first, before you come in, make sure that your product is up to standards. And here we have a little bit problem with the GHOST norm, because as I said, West Africa is very EU orientated, and they are orientated on the DIN norm. So you must make sure that your GHOST norm is transferred to any DIN norm, so that you tell them my product is GHOST 55555, but matching DIN 470. And then you are on the safe side, because then they can compare according to this DIN standard norm that your product meets the standards of DIN, and then they can certify you. And after you have paid your fees, then they give you this registration number which you put on your product. It comes with a logo of the standard board of the country and the registration number. And that shows any customer that you have gone through the process and that your product is up to standards. And then you are free on the market to sell.
Yeah, and the question is how to find the buyers of
that comes
fertilizers and agricultural products.
that comes automatically, because first of all, you must make sure that this product is certified and up to standards. So if you have the standardization, then they will publish that in a gazette in the country where you have registered. And then everybody can read in this gazette that you are the new registered company. This comes out every 3 months, and then the buyers will automatically contact you, because they have read that, for example, let's stay with this organic fertilizer. You have an organic fertilizer which is matching the conditions, so you get an import license for it, because why it's done is you have to apply for import license, and when you license based on the GSation, then of course the buyer is contacting you and say, okay, I don't know how many container loads or tons or whatever, and then starts the business to business trade for your product. So that means when you have this standardization, you are automatically on the state gazette advertised that yes, you have passed the standard test and you are on the market now, free to sell.
And what about wheat and oil, for example?
It's the same thing. Even with food products, we have 2 organizations to pass: Ghana Standards Authority and Food and Drugs Authority. So that is double cost. So you have to pass these 2. You have to send for each of the organizations 10 samples of the product you want to sell. It can be only 10 samples if you have, for example, different packings and it's the same content. Then it's only one standardization. But you have first to do all that before you can even sell a certain container, because if you send the container down and you don't have the registration number, the container will be confiscated at the harbor at your cost. You cannot sell it on the market.
And again, the question was about platforms, but I suppose that if you know something, you will add them in the answer after the webinar, in you write an answer. And there was a very interesting question about events in Africa, like events where it is possible to find potential buyers, for products, like for agricultural products, for example. It was one of the top questions.
Yeah, as I said already, we have a trade fair for food products. We have a trade fair for packing products. Actually, they are coming together. Then we have another trade fair for renewable energy. Then we have another trade fair for merchandise like clothing, shoes. But this is all. That means we don't have this amount of trade fairs where you can come buy and then go on the trade fair and expose.
Sorry, the connection interrupted. The question was about the name of events that you recommend to visit or to take part in.
I can tell you one thing. We were talking about this type of an organization or association for the trade people. We have done the same thing for the Germans. It makes only sense when your trade ministry or sets up a common stand where different companies can buy booths or some square meters or something like that. When you come as an individual company and you have to bear all the costs which are involved to have, let's say, a 4 square meter booth, costs you already more than 25,000 with importing the goods to Ghana, the hotel and all the side costs. So to start with such a thing, it would be advisable to form a national stand and then invite the different companies to participate in this national stand. That will reduce the costs dramatically for everybody.
It's interesting, yeah, good strategy. And do you know these events that are worth visiting?
Now, yeah, as I said, we have only 5 trade fairs, so that means
okay.
if you are in one of these 5, so if you are in one of the 5 categories, then you come or you don't come. And for example, the food and the packing fair, which is together, is every year in November. It was just now. Then the fair for the renewable energy is every second year. Of course, I can say of the trade fair, and then you can publish, and then you can also write to the organizer about the costs to set up a stand and all these sort of things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, got it. And there are several more interesting questions I want to ask them. Sorry that we take so many time from you, but it's very interesting, and your experience is really great.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
And there's, for example, interesting question was about the willingness of African countries to purchase electric tractors that can be charged from solar energy. So solar energy tractors. What about this? And what do you think?
Everything what is solar and is connected with agriculture, solar driven irrigation pumps, solar driven harvesters, solar
connection.
Hello?
Yeah, connection was lost. Could you repeat, please?
Yes, I said everything what is solar driven, like irrigation pumps, like tractors, like harvesters, and all these sort of things in agriculture is very interesting to come on the market with. But you have first to come and to engage a bank in financing. Otherwise, you will not see your money. We don't have farmers which can buy a solar-driven tractor for 40 or 50,000 euros and give you the money. They have to finance that through a bank. And you have to select a bank which is prepared to work together with you to finance agriculture. Only then it will work.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there are several questions about infrastructure, for example, road construction projects and potential partners and competitors.
Yeah, this I was explaining under point 1. Roads, harbors, airports, this is all governmental contract which is published by the Public Procurement Agency. Though that means this is not on the private level. And when you see that you are constructing a road which is, let's say, 50 kilometers long, and you have to bring a guarantee of 10 million euros to perform, then this is nothing for a private company. Therefore, companies like Lukoil and the big ones, Gazprom, they are coming in this contract, and then they are hiring Russian companies which execute the contract under their umbrella.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Other interesting question about which African states does it make sense to work in the field of waste processing, tires, rubbers, wastewater, and how to find clients and partners in this field?
Yeah, for example, if you want to come in this field of waste management, then you come for sure for Ghana, because Ghana is for sure the leading waste processing and managing company in whole Africa. We are segregating already, and we have a lot of projects for companies which are bringing in, for example, processing equipment for plastic fractions. Doesn't matter if it's HDPE, LDPE, PET, and things like that. So if you really come in from the waste side, then you should for sure start in Ghana. Because no country in whole Africa is so advanced, not even South Africa, as the Ghanaians. The Ghanaians are close coming to Germany in waste segregation. We are putting also out 5 bins, segregating plastic, segregating paper, segregating organics to make compost. Compost goes to the agricultural industry. So here are a wide field for the investors to come in. And for sure, for Russian companies which have already the technology, because this kind of technology we have in Russia, that is exactly what we need. We don't need this one-man show on a completely electronic device which has no working space for nobody and is just run by 2 engineers which are just there to look at the faults and get out the faults of when it happens. We need technology which is creating workplaces. So that is the most important thing to be successful on the market, because we cannot come with high tech. We have 80% humidity in the air, we have salty air. So that means the salt is chopping up any electronic. So we have to see that the medium-sized plants which are existing in Russia, these are the exactly sizes and level of technology which we need for that. But I invite everybody who's interested in the waste industry to write to me, because we have at least 16 investment projects at the moment from the waste sector, which is worth to come in, and that is for sure an investment, because when it's successful in Ghana, the other ECOWAS countries are copying it. And then you can expand to other ECOWAS countries. If you show here in Ghana on the spot that the plant is working, and they're coming from Mali and Niger and see that, then they invite you automatically to replicate this plant in their country.
Interesting.
Let me add one thing. People should acknowledge that the Africans want to see and want to touch what they buy and what they do. So that means an African will never buy a plant which he has not seen working, which he has not heard, and which he has not smelled. So that means everything what you do in this field, it must be a pilot plant on the ground where you can invite the different visitor groups from all over the ECOWAS and show them how this plant is working. And if they see that is working and the product, the outcome is satisfying, you have automatically your customers.
I see. Yeah, good approach to touch things. And the other interesting question was about automatic gold purchases, about gold. They manufacture terminals for automatic gold purchases, and they're looking for partners. Is it your direction?
It's our direction, because we are reclaiming all these open pit gold mines as agriculturalists. So we have also with this gold mining and the diamond mining to do. In general, we have alluvial gold in Ghana. That means the gold is somewhere on the surface and you have to wash it out from the sands or the clays. That means we need a rather low technology to get this gold dust and the small gold nuggets out of the ground. Now, what we have 2 Russian leading companies which are then taking this gold dust and the small nuggets and processing them in raw gold. So that is working here in the field, because it's not over sophisticated, it has no mechanization such in terms of some IT which is breaking and all these sort of things. Everything is manual, and if it's manual it works. So here for sure, if we have companies which want to come in and work, for example, in the strong room where the gold dust is delivered to, and from there it's cleaned and processed, then for sure there is a market.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also gold mine contracts where interested investors can come in, join the Ghanaian which is holding the contract, but has to invest in the gold marketing. Everything is done. So that means here you can even have the papers and see how rich this gold mine is, and with what you can do in. And as I said, we are alluvial gold miners. That is only surface mining. You need dozers, you need payloaders, you need trucks, and you need a washing machine, and you need water. And then your gold is coming out, and the diamonds, because we don't have gem diamonds in Ghana, we have only industrial diamonds, but a carat is a carat. And the gem diamond is not coming, or very seldom coming, but the industrial diamond is a byproduct of your gold washing. So when you have washed, let's say, 100 tons of soil and sand, then you can be sure you have a quarter
Yeah, the connection interrupted again.
the connection. But you got that with the gold mining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting sphere. I can see. Yeah. Actually, I asked most of questions, and I think that the last one, that it's interesting too. About everyday goods, and is there any potential in distribution of those kind of things, like, I don't know, children's toys or something like that?
You see, of course there are, but you have to see the competition of the Chinese. And the Chinese are doing all. So mainly for Western producers, it is not attractive to come and, well, it's not even selling anymore their products. They just give it away. Because the Chinese are producing with such low costs that you cannot compete with nothing. Even if it's not a quality, and even if it's breaking after 8 days or whatever. But the price to buy that for your child is so low that these low-income people, of course, going for such things. We have not reached the stage in Africa that we are looking for quality toys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
But what is a big market is for sure children's clothing. If somebody is interested to sell children's clothing here, that is for sure something what is very interesting to come in with.
Now there is one more question about is there any Russian product? I mean, Russian food products. Are there any of them in Ghana?
Not when you come as a processed food product, but we have, of course, Russian sunflower oil, we have Russian canola on the market, so that means the big cooking oils, they are here from Russian production. But these are bilateral contracts where somebody who has a supermarket or so has contracted the producer to supply him 10 containers, 20 containers of this oil.
See? Yeah. Actually, we gonna finish. If somebody has any more questions, please write them. Thank you very much for your time, and it was really great. A lot of very important information and very useful. Victor, thank you very much again.
Thank also the participants for coming together and have interest in the business with Africa. And let me also thank you to organize that thing, and also my friends from Zoology to back up the thing. And I think that gives you the good opportunity, because Zoology is in Russia, they speak Russian, that you can, in terms of interest, contact them, contact Alexei, and he will for sure make the first basic information, and if he needs me to join, then he will contact me and I will join. So thank you very much, and I hope that you will have nice holidays, and the Russian Christmas will come a little bit later, so that means you will have your traditional 10 days off later on. And I hope that your COVID is so under control that you don't have to top up the doses of vodka to disinfect your throat. And so have nice 3 days. And thank you very much for the participation and your questions and the interest in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. Спасибо большое за участие всем, кто пришел и сидел до конца. И спасибо вам огромное, что вы были с нами. Да, запись будет, да, мы будем рассылать ее после вебинара, там, дайте нам какое-то время. Вопросы также можно присылать, поэтому спасибо еще раз и будем прощаться. Счастливого Нового года! Thank you, Victor. Yeah, I said I thanked.
Спасибо большое.
Oh, your spelling is great. You didn't tell me that you know Russian. Okay, thank you very much.
No,
again.
no. These 10 words in Russian, I know is not enough to speak to you. So.
Okay. Thanks. Happy Christmas. Thank you. Thank everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.